in Tata Group, if you have heard about, we follow the TBEM concept.
Okay.
It's something like Tata Business Excellency Model. Every Tata Group company follows that. In that, a very good thing which is taught is that you should have a continual growth rather than continuous growth.
Interesting.
Continuous is like a straight line which is growing, but if something goes wrong, you will fall very sharply. Continual means you are growing, checking, whatever you have done is good. If you are once that process stabilizes, go to the next. Second process stabilized, go to the third. So whenever there is a error or there is a learning, it would be only one step down. See, one is who owns or who should own the employee experience. Second is what people think. So I would say what people think first. Other than HR, at least all of be it CEO, be it manager, line manager or whoever it is, thinks employee experience to HR को करना होता है, right? But that's not true. While I will say yes, HR is a primary driver, but is not the ultimate owner. Because experience, as I was mentioning, gets created from small moments.
Hello and welcome to HR Off the Record, a podcast series brought to you by PeopleStrong. I'm your host, Amit Thapliyal, Senior Vice President Marketing at PeopleStrong. We created this show to humanize the people leaders, the ones shaping industries, the workforce for tomorrow, to get into their brains, get insights from them, get them to spill the beans, and break myths, one conversation at a time. In today's episode, we're going to talk about employee experience. We all know the importance of it, and we're all trying to build towards it. And today, to talk about employee experience with me is Mr. Amit Patel. Mr. Amit, he's the head of people experience and total rewards at Tata Motors Finance. Welcome to the show, Amit.
Thanks, Amit, for inviting.
Amit has had a fantastic 17 years of experience encompassing learning and development, digitization, total rewards at leading organizations like IIFL, Access Business, Tata Business Services, and now TMF. So why don't we hear your journey from you, Amit? Take us through your journey over the years and how, with interest in finance, you moved into people and HR.
Sure, Amit. If I talk about my career path, it could be interesting. I don't have a traditional career path like other people have. I'm happy to share how I've started. Since my childhood, my maternal uncle was, you can say, trader cum investor.
Okay.
So whenever I was meeting him, he always talking about the stock market. ये stock ऊपर जा रहा है, नीचे जा रहा है, and some global news, how economic is affecting the stock market, which stocks are going up and down. So many a time we used to sit for a late night and just discussing about how stock changes based on any news and what's ups and downs. So that was a start point of my interest. That time only, that maybe a trigger point that I have decided I will do something in stock market. I will do a job, I will do a business. I had not decided that, but yes, there was in a mind that I will do something related to stock market. While doing an MBA, I opted for a finance, and luckily I got an opportunity of getting into a stock market as my first job. But Bhagwan ki इच्छा कुछ और थी. It was like, I will give an example like Anil Kapoor का जैसे नायक movie है. He was a CM for one day. I became a DM for one day. It's a derivative manager for a one day. I'm sure you must be recollecting Black Monday of 2008.
Yeah.
US crisis was there.
Correct.
And that was my first day of a job.
Wow.
So
Talk about an eventful start of your career.
yes. So I was told कि हम पुराने लोग को ही जाने बोल रहे हैं. You are new, but we have one option for you. We can offer you a functional training profile in HR because in interview, company has realized that I had a good knowledge of stock market. Thanks to my uncle again, all the discussion which we had at the time of during a childhood. So they told me that we can offer you a training profile. You do training for some time. Whenever market gets stabilized, come back to us. We'll give you a DM role again. So I thought, ठीक है, कुछ नहीं करने से better है. ज्ञान ही देना है तो दे रहे थे लोगों को. So I started doing a training, but surprisingly I started liking it. Over the 3 months, 6 months, from functional training I moved to soft skill training, then leadership program. Started exploring different HR functions like OD, talent management. Digital learning was one of the major things which I have done during L&D part. Then I moved to the Axis and Tata Business Support Services, where I also explore other part of HR operation, HR digitization. Full-fledged profile when I got into Tata Motors Finance, overall HR operation, digitization If you see my 17 years of career, every 2 to 3 years, either I have changed a profile or have added some other role in my profile. That's an overview of a career which I have in HR, and that way I have landed in HR.
What a interesting start. So that's really very eventful and a very interesting journey. But let's start off with what were the core beliefs that shaped you in early on in your careers and help you function today and help HR strategy and operations at TMF. What are those those foundations?
I would say for managing people or building a win-win culture, I believe in ATM.
ATM.
Yeah, so A stands for attitude, T transparency, and M is for meritocracy. It's like whenever I look for my team member, so I look for a positive attitude. So attitude is a lens through which we interrupt the world and our place in it. It can either limit us or drive us forward. Many people see what is the education background, what is the skill, previous experience, all that are important, but for me it's become secondary. First is positive attitude to what we want to do. So attitude is a thing which is in our control. So I believe first thing which is required is positive attitude. With that, secondly, with attitude, there has to be a transparency in what we do. The transparency results in trust. When we talk about winning together or anything teamwork, transparency plays a very critical. Transparency is a foundation, you can say foundation principle in both personal as well as professional context, and its importance cannot be overstated. So whenever we talk about the trust, accountability, communication, collaboration for a growth, and that transparency results into a meritocracy. When we say the merit is based on the performance, so caste or gender or anything should not come in between. Equal opportunity to all. So in a way, all three are linked to each other. If you have a positive attitude, you can be transparent. And if you are transparent to your team, you are open and meritocracy is there, equal opportunity is there for all. So I always believe an ATM approach in my life that has worked very well.
And nobody is going to forget it. Like I'm hearing it for the first time. Easy to remember and easy to relate.
Yes. So money related things are always easy with ATM.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you operate in an industry which is highly competitive and kind of specialized. The talent pool is limited. There are other brands which are operating in a similar space. Very competitive, very dynamic, free-flowing market. And so is the market for the talent. So as you plan to get the right resources for you, the right employees, as you think about the right employee experience, one very important thing which would come to mind is employee value proposition, EVP. How do you plan for that? What are your thoughts around it? What would you advise other companies to build for when they start looking at their EVPs?
EVP, I will look like it's an output of a process. Process is basically an employee experience. When we go for a definition of EVP, EVP is what company wants to be known for. And it will be known for what employees are experiencing in day-to-day life. So I would say rather than spending too much time on EVP, we should first start investing in employee experience. While both words are interchangeably used in HR, sometimes people use EVP, sometimes people use employee experience, but both are fundamentally different. If you have let's say, a great promise in your EVP, but when an employee comes to your company and experience something else, he will not stay for a long. One of the reasons why they have a high attrition here. Similarly, if you have a good experience but don't have an EVP, people will not come to. So both has to be balanced equally and look as a linkage to each other, while experience is an input and EVP can be an output of overall thing.
So how do you plan for employee experience? Everybody talks employee experience is important. But how do you plan for it? How are you in your industry, in your organization, planning for it and then executing it?
So I would say employee experience industry-wide may differ, but the process is same. When any marathon winner generally cross the winning line, he cross keeping smile on a face, jumping. So it looks like very simple. But there is a lots of effort at the back end to win a marathon also. There is a daily measurement of progression, nutrition, flexibility, mentality, training. So lots of things goes into that. So when we talk about employee experience, it's similar to that. You don't get the right thing just by doing the one right thing. Much more factor comes into play. The culture, the software, the hardware people use, the physical presence, office environment, how the leadership is interacting, growth opportunity which is unlimited, you can say. I can go on and on what it do. But in a conclusion or one line, if I have to say, employee experience is like a overall theme which touched every part of what employee does during the work life. What he sees, what he feels, what he hears, everything is an experience.
So you mentioned something very interesting. You said all has to come together. Can you elaborate on that? And secondly, how do you think the whole concept of employee experience has evolved over the years? Can you give us some great examples of how it has been implemented? And last but not the least, how does employee experience get impacted by HR policies and vice versa?
Yeah. So interesting combination of a question, but let me try to answer it in a brief. When we say all together, that doesn't mean that everything has to be from day one. It's a whole work-life journey. It's not that from day one there would be a great recruitment experience, a great onboarding experience. You have to break it up in a different segment, target one segment, get excellence in that, then go to a next segment. So everything cannot be done at a one time. In Tata Group, if you have heard about, we follow the TBEM concept. Okay. It's something like Tata Business Excellency Model. Every Tata Group company follows that. In that, a very good thing which is taught is that you should have a continual growth rather than continuous growth.
Interesting.
Continuous is like a straight line which is growing. But if something goes wrong, you will fall very sharply. Continual means you are growing, checking, whatever you have done is good. If you are once that process stabilizes, go to the next. Second process stabilizes, go to the third. So whenever there is a error or there is a learning, it would be only one step down. So employee experience is to be a continual learning or continual growth rather than continuous growth. That's a broader, we can say, context.
So it's a journey which basically adds on back as a loop, as a feedback you would loop to the experience.
So feedback, improve it, stabilize it, then go to next. So if I give an example, I will give an example of Tata Motors Finance only, which recently, I think in last 7 to 8 months, we have done successfully. We have transformed the pre-onboarding experience of employees. And when we started a project, we first identify what are the moments that matter for employees. Then
The moments of truth.
moments of happiness. What are the moments when he's connecting to HR, to company? We grouped them into different sectors or stages, you can say. A stage can be onboarding, pre-onboarding, developing, growing, multiple stages of employee work-life cycle. First, we took up one stage, pre-onboarding stage. We identify the problem, we prepare the solution, and over a time when we stabilize that, we are moving now to the onboarding stage. From onboarding, then we'll move to the developing stage. So this type of small process we are taking up, and we are targeting every change to result into an improvement of employee experience.
And from once they've been onboarded into their learning, their IDPs, their even when they leave their
That's also one part of our sector.
Yeah.
I will take an example at NW HR policy. I will talk a little bit about HR policy. See, HR policies are like foundation of employee experience. While there are multiple things like how leadership approach creates an employee experience, what tools we provide to employee creates an employee experience, how manager behave with employee create an employee experience. But foundation of all this is HR policy. How HR policies are defined and communicated to employee, that sets the foundation of experience, an expectation which employee can make from a company. So while HR policies, people look into a black and white papers, but the way we draft and communicate can change the employee experience, expectation from that particular company as he spend the time. Experience definition changes as per the, you can say, generation change or decades change.
That's true actually.
Like experience which was there in 2000 or 2010, maybe 2020, that is just a basic thing. We can talk about pre and post COVID. Pre-COVID, having a QR code with a vendor or any shop was a good to have thing. है तो अच्छी बात है, नहीं है तो ठीक है, true. But post-COVID, if having QR code is a basic thing. We expect vada pav seller जो है या auto driver है or any big shop, QR code is a default. That's a basic expectation. That's not a wow factor. But maybe pre-COVID, it was a wow factor. Similarly, when we talk about onboarding also digitization, in TMF, we have done 100% digitization of onboarding. there is zero paperwork. But today, that is a basic. वो basic है because when let's say someone is joining from college to TMF, at a college time, he must have opened a trading account in few clicks. When I started career in stockbroking, at that time we used to sign at least 100 signature on a form to open a trading account. So that experience was different. Now the experience is different. So things which was good to have, now they are must have. So in onboarding terms also, the example which I was referring in TMF was only converting physical form into a digitization is not an excuse.
Yeah.
Now that's a basic thing.
Yeah.
Now people expect, and that's what we have done also, that from day one how I can be productive. So how on day one I can ensure he gets a laptop configuration as per his profile, all system access as per his profile, small things like iCard, visiting card, orientation guide, a buddy assigned to them, a orientation program is designed for first 30 days. This all are expectation of experience. So the live example is that yes, digitization is a basic now, but this all linking to the digitization can enhance or create a wow experience. That's a pre-onboarding example which we have done in TMF, and feedback has been very good about that.
Fantastic. So let me ask you a very different question. Whose responsibility is employee experience? Is it the line manager's responsibility? Is it the CEO's responsibility? Is it the entire management's responsibility? Because it's certainly owned by HR. But how do you plan for it, and how do you own the employee experience for each and every person, from the CEO to the last man?
See, one is who owns or who should own the employee experience. Second is what people think. So I would say what people think first. Other than HR, at least all of be it CEO, be it manager, line manager, or whoever it is, thinks employee experience to HR को करना होता है, right? But that's not true. While I will say yes, HR is a primary driver, but is not the ultimate owner. Because experience, as I was mentioning, gets created from small moments when people touch base their work life different stages. So when manager is coaching their team member, it's an experience for team. When IT is ensuring technology is working when required, it's an experience. When admin or let's say facility team taking care of a working environment, providing a open workspace is an experience. So HR delivering the services on time is an experience. Leaders showing the right behavior to employees, again an experience. So each and everything done by any employee is an experience. So whenever an A employee interacting with B, let's a casual discussion, but that's also a part of an experience. So that's what maybe required a change in the mindset of a, I will not say industry, but maybe an overall people around it, that it's not only the HR. It's an overall, when all people comes together, the experience gets created. So everyone has to play the role. Yes, primary HR has to drive that in a right direction maybe.
So let's move on to the next part of our podcast, which is where we get into the thick of things. So you spoke about bringing it to life, stitching everything together. So more often than not, and I really feel today, coming from a technology company, HR folks are themselves being the people technologists, if I may, where they're bringing in new tech, they're bringing in technology as a key enabler for employees. The tech itself is showing is playing a major role in creating journeys throughout of the employees throughout the brand. With AI and automation, they're playing significant roles in impacting not just employee experience from when they come in, but from hire to retire. And last but not the least, how do you strike a delicate balance between tech and maintaining the human aspect of it? What do you do differently at TMF?
So I think there are 2-3 parts of your maybe I will take it one by one.
Sure, absolutely.
Overall. So when we talk about employee journey and what technology plays a role at different part.
Yeah.
Let's say we start with a recruitment. From recruitment, there has been a lot of technology which is there. We say ETS tracking system, application tracking system, job boards, AI matching, video application. Lots of technology is there. At different stage, at recruitment, at onboarding, technology is getting imparted. But the key remains in implementation. It's not about having a technology, how advanced we have, or the couple of words which you were using, automation, AI. Maybe I will add machine learning too also that. Now they are keep on using that. But keeping this all jargons aside, I believe the key is in the implementation. When we talk about implementation, I will give an example of TMF. While we have been using some of the technology which we have discussed, but we use a framework to implement this. And that framework we refer as a 3S.
One thing I must say, you are very good with acronyms.
In HR, there are acronyms. So people can remember better. So maybe that's an attempt.
I've learned so much today through acronyms.
So in my team, you can ask anyone what is 3S.
Okay.
So we don't talk about AI, AM, AI, automated, nothing. We simply talk about 3S. When we approach our you can say management, when we approach our leaders, we talk about we are going to do 3S. And the 3S is simple, like first S is about simplicity, standardization, second and third is speed. Can you tell me what is the most difficult thing in the world?
Knowing what the other person is thinking.
Maybe that's a little bit easy.
Oh, that's easy.
There are many babas you must be seeing in the TV. ऐसे ही बोल देते हैं. But to me, the most difficult thing in the world is to make things simple.
True that.
People easily make things complex. The key is in making things simple. No matter what technology you are using, if you do not make your process simple, no technology will success. The problem is when a process owner looks to a technology, it looks like I have a complex process. If I implement AI, AI will do a magic and there will be an easy process. It will not. First, you need to simplify your process. Then only technology will work. So that's why I'm saying the AI, ML, all things are good to have, but first you need to simplify things. And second most important thing, next to simplification comes standardization. Consistency is a key. Again, relating to the example of sports which I was referring. Take it any sports. Randomly one day you get up and say, I will run 10 kilometer today. And after a month you will say, I will run 15 kilometer today. You will not. There has to be a consistency. If you are running 4 kilometer today, tomorrow 4.5, 5, 5.5. Continuously you have to run. Then one day you will reach 10, 15, 20 slowly. So there has to be consistent in what you are doing. One fine day I can't say this is a very important perk for my employee. Let's launch it. It's not doesn't work that way. We have to go as per a process design, and the way it has to be implemented is in a consistent manner. So simplicity is standardization, and the most important thing is speed. I would like to quote one, I don't recollect the name of that person, but I have read somewhere a quote that if you are in control, you are not going fast enough. That doesn't mean that you have to be out of control to be fast, but that actually means that you need to come out of your comfort. You need to push to have a speed. Without speed, in today's world, there is nothing. No matter what we do, and that speed, technology can give it. Okay. At your end, if you simplify and standardize the processes, technology will give you a speed.
So have you solved for that at TMF? What's your tech stack like? What kind of components does your people technology?
So as I was saying, before implementing a people technology, first we reviewed our processes. And while reviewing the process, we have not asked process owners what process you want. We were asking employee what they want. Because generally, it's a bunch of HR team who decide the process that A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z we have to do, and we implement it to a technology. But we have done an opposite way. We have asked employee what process they will want. Like for example, transfer. What process employee will want HR to follow for transfers? Because that's an employee experience. If you will ask a process owner, he will create a process as per his comfort. And our aim is of employee experience. So for creating a process, we started with our customer, you can say. And then we see that if proper controls are there, make it standardized, see what best technology can be used. It can be digitization, somewhere AI is required, bring in AI. Some workflow automation is required. Some integration with external software is required. Do that and achieve the speed which we want to achieve the result. So that's a 3S strategy, more maybe a little bit different from the technology what we use, but in a different way we are implementing that overall strategy. The last question, if I remember your question properly, was how do we balance technology and a human touch in HR? See, ultimately, we all know technology continues to evolve. Automation can streamline processes, improve efficiency, but we need to remember HR is fundamentally about people. It's kind of for the people and people has to serve the people. So, how human relationship, empathy, understandings plays a key role in day-to-day HR activities has to be kept in mind. Automate all your administrative tasks, but preserve personal touches. Automation should be for routine, repetitive, or administrative tasks which we do day to day. But there has to be a space for, let's say, human judgment, empathy, relationship building that cannot be automated. That requires a personal touch. Right? One more, maybe a debatable statement make is that we need to prioritize employee experience over efficiency. Again, whenever we talk about technology, we talk about how fast process can happen or how fast is tech, how fast efficient I am. But many a time I've seen in the, we can say, process of achieving a efficiency, we forget employee experience. Yes, efficiency is important, but we have to keep employee experience before that. So that's the second thing when we talk about the balancing both the thing. Yes, balance is required. So when you balance employee experience over efficiency, a proper balance of human touch and technology can be there. That's the thought which I have.
Fantastic. So as we move on to the last segment of our podcast today, it's been a very interesting podcast so far. So as we conclude, let's talk about the future. Looking ahead, what are the key shifts or trends do you feel which are going to shape the world of HR, so to speak, in a larger sense, in terms of workforce management, and how do you think the HR tech will in itself evolve? And what's on your radar as you plan for the future?
So by radar, as I have been talking about, is employee experience. And yes, the HR is rapidly evolving, driven by advanced technologies. Every day we see a new technology coming, how we are implementing in HR processes. That keeps on happening. But broadly, day by day, what I am able to see is that employee experience is taking a place in a strategic thinking of HR or becoming a priority. एक्सपीरियंस इन नो लॉन्गर लिमिटेड टू, जैसे पहले होता था साल में एक बार एंगेजमेंट सर्वे कर दिया. नाउ इट हैज़ कम ऑन द टेबल ऑफ मे बी अ board discussion or CHRO discussion that how to enhance an employee experience and become a part of a holistic strategy. If I can give an example of TNR, from the recruitment to retirement, right, we have been using a PeopleStrong software where every time when we interact with the customer success manager of PeopleStrong, we only talk about how it will enhance the employee experience.
And so far, how has been your experience?
Our experience has been good. That's why we are continuing with them from last 4-5 years, and continuously we are taking more and more modules and workflows and implementing experience with them. So as I was mentioning, the pre-onboarding experience. So from end to end, or whatever requirement was there, we have implemented in PeopleStrong. So we need to convince you that it will enhance the employee experience. Then rest is about implementing from your side. So whenever my team comes with any query that we required ABC features in my HRMS, my question is how it will enhance employee experience. If we are able to convince it is going to enhance employee experience, it's not only good for us, good for industry, good for all the we can say our fraternity, where the employee experience can increase by using some technology. In the future, I see two major development other than current things which are going. One, employee experience becoming the primary strategic focus. Everything will roll around that. We are still into MS Excel maybe. Or a little bit tools which we use, especially HR. Maybe business front, people have started using technology. But especially in HR, at least I have not seen little bit of people use technology, but to a limited extent. ultimately they rely on Excels. But
They're saying the adoption should increase.
adoption will increase in going forward. While it requires lots of more development in that part, the speed or the range at which currently we are using the data, if the technology comes into it, maybe 50-60% also, the impact of the same would be 10 times more. Because we all know how prediction analysis can work, how attrition analysis can work, how talent pool can be retained, compensation analysis can be done. If all this together can be used in a technology, it can have 10 times more impact. So from future perspective, yes, employee experience is going to be a sector, and uses of technology in a data-driven decision will be more, which I can see.
So, just any parting thoughts, any concluding thoughts on anything any message you would want to give your fraternity, your peers, or budding HR folks?
So to conclude, I would like to quote the king of experience.
Steve Jobs.
But yes, correct. While everyone knows, but I will still say that the product which he offers or his companies offer product, their competitors are offering maybe 2x of the technology and features in that product, and maybe at a half price. But still, people buy that product, and that company is maybe 10 or 20, 25 times more profitable than companies who are offering more features and maybe at a lesser price. It's experience. The experience which he creates is not only the experience of a product, but experience surrounding that. So there is a very famous quote of Steve Jobs, which maybe I would like to bring in here, is that technology is nothing, right? We can imagine the person who has developed his company on technology. Starting a quote is, with technology is nothing. What's important is that you have a faith in people, that they have a basic good and smart. And if you give them a tools, they will do wonderful things with them. And yet tools for me is an experience. If you give them an experience, they will do wonders for you. Technology becomes then second. So that's a thing which I would like to conclude.
Awesome. So that brings us to the end of our podcast today. It's been a fantastic conversation. As I came in preparing for the podcast, I had a great time with Mr. Amit Patel, and it's been a terrific experience hosting you. Till the next time, when we bring you yet another insightful conversation with one of the most popular people leaders. Until next time, thank you and keep watching.
Thank you.